Welcome back to Medical Terminology 1. Today we're going to cover Chapter 2, Word Analysis and Communication. Within this chapter, we will learn to deconstruct a medical term into basic elements, use word elements to identify or construct a medical term, connect the singular and plural components of medical terms, employ the phonetic system used to pronounce medical terms, and finally, we will communicate with precision in both written and verbal forms. Word analysis and definition. Now this segment will differ a bit from your textbook. The textbook tells you suffix, then root, then prefix. However, when you put your medical term together once you've deconstructed it, you actually will end up going back to the beginning after the suffix. So you will begin with the suffix, go back to the beginning to identify the prefix if there is one. If it is just a singular word root term or a compound term with more than one word root, you'll always go back to the beginning after you identify your suffix and read from left to right. As you can see in the example that we have below, we would start with identifying itis as inflammation, and then we would go back to the beginning and identify endo, the prefix meaning inside, followed by card, the root for heart. Now, you might be used to seeing cardi for heart, but in this case, that I now belongs to the suffix. So that's why we also start with the suffix first when we're identifying or breaking down a term, is because we need to go in and use all of the letters that are within a suffix. So if a word root ends with the same letters that a suffix will begin with, then those letters now belong to the suffix, as we have here with cardi, now that I belonging to itis. So we do not have two I's in the medical term right next to each other. So analyze endocarditis. Again, we're going to start with the suffix itis, then we're going to go to the prefix endo, and our word root card meaning heart. So when we put it together, we come up with inflammation of the inside of the heart. That would not flow correctly if we went from suffix, word root, prefix, because then that would be inflammation, heart inside. So that is another reason why we start at the end and go back to the beginning. Plurals and pronunciation. Plural endings are not based on the English language. Plural forms of medical terms are based on Latin and Greek languages. Adding an S to the medical term does not make it plural. You must memorize the plurals of medical terms. Plural examples. These are located in Table 2.1 of the text. Singular ending A, and then the plural ending AE. So, for example, here we would go from axilla to axilli. Another one that we would use, singular AX, would go to aces, ACES. So, for example, thorax versus thoraces. Importance of correct pronunciation. Textbook pronunciation assistance is in McGraw-Hill Connect for this chapter. Practice will improve your pronunciation. And it's important because an error in pronunciation or spelling of a medical term can dramatically change its meaning. For quality patient care and safety, you must be sure that you are correctly spelling and pronouncing medical terms. Your textbook again will assist you in the correct pronunciation by spelling the word out phonetically, which means it's spelled how it sounds. You must continually practice saying the word aloud to become comfortable with its pronunciation. Precision in communication. Being a health professional requires the utmost attention to detail and precision in both written and verbal communication. Altering the pronunciation or spelling of a word can dramatically change the meaning. Many medical terms sound similar, therefore precise spelling and pronunciation must be clearly differentiated. A misspelling or mispronunciation could alter the treatment and medication prescribed to a patient and result in injury or death. Healthcare professionals must understand the terms they are pronouncing and writing. Breaking down words into their elements helps in analyzing and understanding a term's meaning. Understanding a term and medical language will allow you to question when a written or spoken word does not fit the sentence or situation being described. This will help lessen the occurrence of an error being performed. Your ability to identify the different prefixes of hypo and hyper, for instance, helps to ensure precision in your written and verbal communications. Each of the above terms requires different medical management. Misspelling or mispronunciation of the term could result in the patient's injury or death. Let's look at the term hypotension. It starts with the suffix ion, which means condition. Next, we'll go to the prefix hypo, which means below or less than normal. Finally, we'll look at the root tens, which is from the Latin word for pressure. Place the pieces together to form the word meaning a condition of below normal pressure or low blood pressure. In hypertension, hyper means excessive. So when you are assembling pieces together, you have a condition of excessive pressure or high blood pressure. Again, these are opposing terms with different prefixes. This is why spelling and pronunciation is so important. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching the Chapter 2 lecture. I hope this helps, and please let me know if you have any questions.